ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله ولعلكم تشكرون. وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب. وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعاني فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. صدق الله العظيم.
Our dear respected Faisal for the beautiful presentation of the beautiful ayat of the beautiful book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brother, just to give a brief introduction on our respected Shaykh Abu Sulaiman. He is a member of the Islamic Union of Muslim Scholars. He was a member of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs in Egypt between 2012 and 2013. He's the director of Bridges Foundation. He is a Muslim chaplain of the American University in Washington, D.C. He translated the first translation of the 10th Qur'an of the Quran to the English language, and of which we have a copy here. And the Sheikh has brought this as a gift, as a present to the Masjid, inshallah. And he would like to leave this with us. He has explained the Quran in a series of 10 videos known as the lockdown videos during the COVID-19 lockdown. And he has produced 3 documentaries about Islam known as the Fog is Lifting. So the name is The Fog is Lifting series, which were translated to more than 30 languages, including the Hebrew language. And he is specialized in debunking misconceptions about Islam, including atheistic misconceptions. And as a game developer, he developed 4 games for children that help protect them from the root causes of atheism. We are honored to have our respected Shaykh with us here today. And inshallah, we can benefit from his wisdom and his knowledge, and his this will be live streamed. So to those brothers and sisters listening online, I hope you can pay the utmost attention that you can, and inshallah benefit from the words and the reminder of the Shaykh that we have got in preparation for the beautiful month of Ramadan, inshallah. And Shaykh can give us a little bit more about the topic that we'll be covering. So I'll pass it on to the Shaykh, inshallah.
جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم. جزاكم الله خيرا for the invite, and جزاكم الله خيرا for waiting for me. I'm sorry, it was supposed to take me 34 minutes. It took me about an hour from here, from Southwest. And I'm glad to be with my Afghan brothers. Yeah, most are Afghan, of course. And because I was planning to go maybe in the summer to Afghanistan to buy a car. Did they start selling this car, the James Bond car? Are they selling it or not yet?
To select few.
Yeah, okay, maybe I want to buy one. And I think from the introduction, you understood that I'm Egyptian, since I was a member of the Islamic Council of Egypt between 2002 and 2015. But what is not in the introduction is that I am from a part of Egypt called Said. Now, someone here knows what Said is and started laughing already. Well, the Said, the part from which I am in Egypt, Said, actually, the people there are the laughing stock of the Egyptians. They make jokes about us. Yeah, that we are naive. And actually, I'm not going to deny that. We are to a big extent naive. And what I'm going to tell you now is not a joke, but a true story that happened to one of my relatives in our village. He's an ENT doctor, an ear and throat doctor. And he received one of the peasants who was complaining from a pain in the ear. So by checking his ear, he found that he suffers from a very strong inflammation in his ear. So he prescribed for him an antibiotic, 500 milligrams. About yourself. All of us do that. Like the Said. Not only people from Said do that. No. What else is a medication? The Quran is a medication. Allah said that in the Quran. وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين. And we send down from the Quran what's of these microphones. Where is Al Jazeera? من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين. And we send down from the Quran what's a medication, a cure for the believers. A medication, شفاء لما في الصدور. It's a medication and it's a cure for what's in the chest. Right? All of us are reading the Quran. Many of us even memorize the Quran. But the diseases of the heart are still there. So why isn't it curing us? Maybe we are using it the wrong way, like this Said that we just laughed at, who was pushing the medication in his ear. How should we use the Quran? Allah told us, كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك لم تعلم. For what reason? ليتدبروا آياته. A blessed book that I have sent down to you so that they may ponder upon its signs. It was sent to be pondered. وتدبر. We don't even know what tadabbur is. When we mention the Quran, we mention halaqat, tahfidh al-Quran, memorization of the Quran, but we never mention tadabbur, which is the way Allah told us about. We don't mention the word that the Prophet used to use in the Sunnah. What did he use about the Quran? خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. Who learned the Quran and is teaching it. تعليم القرآن. يا ابو عثمان عفان ومكان عبد مسعود كنا نتعلم مع رسول الله العشر ايات من القران لا نتجاوزها حتى نتعلم ما فيها من علم وعمل. We used to learn these important 10 ayat from the Quran and we don't exceed them until we learn how to recite them and what they mean and how to apply them in our lives practically. تعليم القرآن. Where are حلقات تعليم القرآن? There's no حلقات تعليم القرآن. What is تدبر? There's no تدبر القرآن. What do we have? Just memorization. That's it. I want you to imagine that tonight, after we finish, when you go back home, you will find a family at the door of your house. A man and a woman, 2 children, 4 people. And they tell you, we love that's our house there. A place to shelter us. So polite and so hospitable, they didn't make them feel like refugees, but they were refugees. And they shared their houses with them. Every 2 families were living in a house. And after 5 years, 4 years, after the incident of Bani Nadir, when for the first time money started to appear in the Muslim community, and the Prophet told them, he spoke to the Ansar. He said, listen, either I distribute the booties of Bani Nadir equally between you and the Muhajirin, but in this case, they will keep on living with you in your houses, or I give it all to them, and like that, they will be able to go out and build houses or buy places or buy houses. So you choose. Distribute them evenly between you equally, so they will stay. Or give it to them and they get out of your houses. They said, we refuse both options. You give it all to them and they stay in our house. And when the Muhajirin left them and went to buy houses and build houses, many of the Ansar broke down and cried, and they said, why do you want to leave us? Did we hurt you in anything? Did we hurt your feelings? And the Muhajirin said, no, wallahi, done much. We don't know how to thank you, but that's enough. Question is, why were the Ansar able to sacrifice like dunya like that? 1 million times Iman, that Iman was 1 million times stronger than our Iman. And we can't tell a family from Gaza to stay with us. I think that maybe you are just wondering now, what type of human beings were the Ansar? And I think if they look at us today, telling the people from Gaza, come in tonight and solve your problem tomorrow, they will also wonder what kind of human beings are we. Or what kind of Muslims are we? So what's the difference between us and the Ansar? Why is that Iman much stronger than us? And I'm sure that many of you are saying, sorry, that's a very unjust comparison. How come you compare us to the Ansar? But keep inside. You say this. And I will respond to you. And why can't I compare us to the Ansar? Definitely you'll be saying, because the Ansar are those who received tarbiyah from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right or not? Right. No, wrong. Wrong. When the Ansar were receiving the Muhajirin in their houses, at that point, most of them never saw Rasulullah before. When they were receiving them in the Hijrah to Medina, they didn't see him. Only 75 of them saw him the year before for a few minutes under the darkness of the night in Bayat al-Aqaba. And that's it. We are the ones who know about the Prophet ﷺ and about his tarbiyah and about his teachings 1,000,000 times more than the Ansar at that point. Because we have a Bukhari and Muslim and Muwatta Malik and all this. And we know them, we study them. So we know much more about the teachings of the Prophet than the Ansar at the point when they were receiving the Muhajirin in their houses with the intention to live with them forever. Back to our question. So what then made the Iman of the Ansar 1,000,000 times stronger than ours then? What did the Ansar have that we don't have? You know what? Only one thing. They had the Quran. And people will start looking at the shelves. No, we have a lot of Qurans here. No, I'm sorry. These are the words of the Quran. Words of the Quran. But the Ansar had the reality of the Quran. The reality of the Quran. Because the way they used to deal with the Quran was changing them. You know what? Last time I was giving this talk in Egypt, it was 12 years ago in Al-Azhar University. And I was talking to 400 students, and of course, I asked students of Al-Azhar, and so I asked them, who of you is a memorizer of Al-Baqarah? Of course, all of them raised their hands. I said, good. How long did it take you to memorize Al-Baqarah? One of them said 4 days. One of them said 4 months, but most of them, 8 weeks, in 2 months. I said, MashaAllah, I wish Abdullah ibn Umar could have been alive today to meet you, to tell him how to memorize, because it took him 8 years. Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, one of the Al-Abadil al-Arba'a, the 4 Abduls, the 4 Sahaba, and their name starts with Abdullah, and they were the masters of the sciences of the Quran. And they lived after the Prophet for a long time, and they taught people. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is not one of them. Why? Because he died, he didn't live long after the Prophet. He's not considered among the 4 Abduls, though he was, of course, a scholar of the Quran. But anyway, Abdullah ibn Umar took him 8 years to memorize Al-Baqarah. Yes. Why? Because the way the Sahaba used to deal with the Quran is different from our way. The Sahaba used to do this. Read, understand, tadabbar, memorize, and what? Apply in your lives. Read, understand, ponder, apply, ihfaz, memorize. Read, understand, apply, ponder, memorize. But we just memorize. So our way is better than the way of the Sahaba in one thing. It allows us to memorize quickly, but it doesn't change us anything. It doesn't change anything in us. That's why we need to learn how to ponder upon the Quran. And some may think that, but I don't understand Arabic.
I can just read it. No, you can ponder upon the Quran from a good translation, from a translation that is made for ponder. Actually, even from bad translations. Well, in 1979, Cat Stevens, the pop star, became Yusuf Islam. How? He read the Quran. Actually, he didn't read the Quran. He read a translation of the Quran. And at that time, most of the very good translations were not out yet. He read a translation that's like 50, 60% accurate. And what happened? It affected him. Why? Because there was tadabbur. Tadabbur means to ponder. He reflected upon a translation that is 50, 60% accurate. And it worked with him. Same thing with Yvonne Reddy. Same thing with many. Sohaib Webb. He was a DJ 25 years ago. He was a DJ. And now I consider him one of the most, actually, most knowledgeable in the US. Why? He read the Quran, not the Quran, a translation. No, so if you want, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel called How to Ponder Upon the Quran, even if you don't know Arabic. Watch it. It's a workshop that teaches you how to ponder upon the text. Okay? The YouTube channel is called Bridges Foundation Channel. This is not a gas station I work for. This is the logo of Bridges Foundation, which is an organization specializing in explaining Islam to both Muslims and non-Muslims. Before, it was just a da'wah organization. Now we work more on tarbiyah and issues. And we listened to a very beautiful recitation from Sheikh Abu Bakr Siddiq. Why don't we ponder upon the ayat that he just read? Read with me. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Means, all you who have attained faith, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed upon those before you, that you may be mindful of God, which means that you may practice taqwa. One moment. This is tadabbur. Ask yourself, why is Allah calling us with Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, or you who have attained faith, or you who have believed? Why? Well, he also says Ya ayyuha nas, O mankind. Aren't we mankind? Is it only when he speaks to the kuffar he says Ya ayyuha nas? We are among an-nas. We are among mankind. Why doesn't Allah say, oh mankind, fasting has been prescribed upon you? No, he is actually, Allah is not calling upon Quraysh before Islam and tell them to fast. No. This is for those who chose Iman. So Allah is reminding you that you chose to be a mu'min. Actually, you chose to be a mu'min. Even if you're born mu'min, yeah, but you're still mu'min. Yeah. No one is forcing you to be mu'min. So you are a mu'min, and he's reminding you. Next. كتب عليكم الصيام. Passive voice. كتب عليكم. Who wrote? It's Allah. Why does it say it? كتب عليكم. Who's the accepted Islam and chose to believe, you ordained on yourself to obey Allah. كتب عليكم الصيام. كتب عليكم القتال. The strong and the very difficult, or the challenging obligations are mentioned in that passive voice. كتب عليكم الصيام. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم. You believed, so you chose to obey Allah as a musharra, and He ordained on you this. So you also wrote on yourself to obey Allah. See. كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم. As it was obligated on those before you. لعلكم تتقون. So that you may practice taqwa. What does that mean? It means that Siyam will teach you how to be taqi, من المتقين. So Allah chose for us, okay. So this ayah tells us what? This ayah tells us that Siyam has become an obligation. Okay. But when? The next ayah. أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. This is an ayah that is mansukha because that was the case before ordaining. This ayah came like more than a year after that one, which is شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. So ayah number 185 tells us Siyam will be during the month of Ramadan. The fasting is for, it was the month of Ramadan in which the recital, the Quran, was sent down. Sorry, why is Allah saying شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن? He could have just said شهر رمضان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم. No, he is linking Siyam to the Quran. Because during your Siyam, you won't be watching YouTube. You won't be watching Netflix. You will be reciting the Quran. So he's linking Siyam to the Quran. And guess what? At the end of the ayah, he says, وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا. That's one. At the end of the month, you do takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. And Eid. Look at the ayat and the beauty of the ayat. And then we finished talking about Siyam. No, we didn't. And then comes what? وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. And then he speaks about dua. Why is he speaking about dua? Because after any good deed, you should make dua to Allah. You just finished a whole month of fasting. Now it's time for dua. So, and then he says, so if my servants ask you about me, I am close to them. I respond to their dua. So let them respond to me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. So you have to respond to Allah first so that He responds to you. See the beauty. Why don't we look at the ayat of the Quran like that? We just read quickly. Why? To finish. Enjoy something. You don't want it to end. You don't want to end it. You don't want to finish, right? Why only the Quran when we start to want to finish? And we go into racing with each other. I did 4 khatmas, 5 khatmas, 6 khatmas. Stop. You know, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya says, الآية كالتمرة كلما مضغتها كلما شعرت بحلاوتها. The ayah is like the tamra, is like the date. The more you chew it, the more you experience its sweetness. Take your time with the ayah. Look at every ayah, every sign. I use for free. You can download it anytime. App Store, Android Store. Just go and put Bridges Foundation Translation Quran. You get it like that. You'll find this green logo. So free. This is sold in Waterstones, but I think you shouldn't buy it from Waterstones. It is overpriced there and it's not updated. So I actually print my own in Turkey, but the one that is sold by the publisher, it doesn't update. Since a long time, it's not updated. And I update nearly every month. Anyway, just translating the Quran is not something, it's something ongoing all the time. Anyway, so we need to focus more on tadabbur. So let's now continue with the first ayah. O you who have attained faith, fasting has been prescribed upon you, like it was prescribed upon those before you, that you may become muttaqeen. لعلكم تتقون. So Allah chose fasting, month of Ramadan, for us to help us achieve taqwa. Why? It's tadabbur. Ask yourself why. Where's the wisdom of this? Why not another good deed like salah, zakah, being kind to our parents? There's a lot of good deeds. Giving charity. Isn't this going to teach me how to do taqwa, to have taqwa? No. It's siyam, Ramadan. Why? Imagination is very important. To do tadabbur, you need to imagine. Oh, wait. Imagine yourself now at the moment after you finish your suhoor, call it sahri maybe, suhoor, yeah, the last meal, and you heard the adhan, and you went to pray Fajr, and you are starting now a new fasting day. Imagine your mind, what are you now focusing upon? The past days? No, you are focusing on that day that just started, right? You want to make sure that this day passes nicely without any accidents that would nullify your fasting. You may maybe you swallow a drop of water accidentally when you are making wudu. You nullify your fasting. A woman can take, by the way, with her tongue, the softness of the food that she's cooking. But if she swallows any drop, she nullifies her fasting. You need to be very careful. You need to be careful also with your gaze. You need to be careful that if someone harasses you, that you don't respond back verbally nasty because you are fasting. Huh? So all of what your mindset is what? Is always focusing on the future, what's coming, the day that you just started, right? You don't look back. Alhamdulillah, Maghrib, Alhamdulillah, peacefully, this day started. Again, at support, start. It's the fasting every single day is programming your mindset to always keep looking ahead. Allah could have done it like that, by the way. That in Ramadan, we fast, but we take a break on Friday. Or Saturdays and Sundays. A break. No breaks. A 30 days boot camp. An intensive course to program your mindset to keep looking ahead of you. Don't look back. Look ahead of you. Don't look back. Yeah, but isn't it that we should also... sorry. So, what does this have to do with taqwa? What is taqwa? Some people think taqwa is God-fearing. No. God-fearing is khashya. Isn't khashyatullah the same as taqwa? No, it is not. Exactly, but isn't taqwa the same as khashya? God-fearing? Why? My belief that it is not the same thing that Allah said in Surah An-Nur, وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَخْشَى اللَّهَ وَيَتَّقِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَائِزُونَ. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger and fears Allah and is mindful of Allah, يَخْشَى اللَّهَ وَيَتَّقِهِ. Since you put and between two things, they have to be different from each other. For example, this mosque is called what? Huh? Afghan Islamic Culture. Okay. But you have an abbreviation of, right? AICC. I can say I'm going to the Afghani Culture Center and AICC. You can say N.
It's the same thing. You can't put an and here. When you put an and what comes after the and has to be different from the one came before it. Allah said, يَخْشَى اللَّهَ وَيَتَّقِي. So khashya is not taqwa. God-fearing is different from being mindful of God. Okay, why would I fear? What is khashyatullah? To fear the anger of God, to fear the punishment of God. Okay, why would God punish anyone? For the sins, for his sins. For his sins, good. Which sins? The sin that he committed. Of course, God is not gonna punish someone for sins that he did not commit. Sins that were committed in the past. Right? Taqwa is the opposite. It is from the verb waqa, as the Prophet said. Waqa means to protect yourself. So it is to be mindful of your weakness and know that if you do this, you may fall in a sin. So you protect yourself against falling in sin. So you are protecting yourself against the anger of God, against the punishment. You avoid the punishment of God. And one avoid the punishment of God. How? By avoiding falling in sin. So taqwa is dealing with future sins that were not committed yet. Siyam is teaching you what? To keep focusing on what's coming, right? Same thing taqwa is, focus on what's coming and don't fall in sins. Yeah, but shouldn't we remember our sins and regret them? Here there's a big misunderstanding. Having taqwa by focusing on not to fall in sins in the future is in itself regretting doing that sin before. But you should not keep remembering the sins that you did with detail. This can be a trigger. Don't do that. Don't remember the sins you did. Focus on not to fall on these sins that you did before again. This in itself is a regret. And I'll show you this in Surah Al-Talaq. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يُكَفِّرْ عَنْهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِ وَيُعْطِهِ أَجْرًا. The one who is mindful of God, which means the one who upholds taqwa, is focuses on not to fall in future sins. I will forgive his sins, his past sins. You see the treasure, but not giving attention to. But only it will open for you. These messages to your heart.
On the right hand, we see a on the left hand, Surah Al-Baqarah, it starts with describe it was three war in 2 ayat, Munafiqeen in 13 ayat, first 4 ayat are about the believers, no, not the believers. المتقين. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. Not the believers. So the goal of the Quran is to make you have taqwa. The goal of the Quran to manufacture taqwa. How to face the camera if you don't know Arabic in English. How to read it. Allah told us to do what when we recite the Quran. وإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, right? Do استعاذة, say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, right? Why then are there more what came at the end of the Quran? Shouldn't they be in the beginning of the Quran? The more what came? قل أعوذ برب الفلق and قل أعوذ برب الناس at the end of the Quran. Allah said, before you read the Quran, you should start with the isti'adah. So, if you think about it logically, they should have been in the beginning, right? Why are they at the end? They are not at the end. They are at the beginning. You start with what? Al-Fatiha. What's before Al-Fatiha? Al-Mu'awwidatayn. So they came before Al-Fatiha. Don't look at the Quran as the rope. No, Quran is like a circle, not a rope. Khalas. You finished? Okay. Start all over. The Prophet said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, رحم الله الحال المتحد. May Allah be merciful to the one who, the journeyer, who when he arrives and puts his bags, he carries them and starts a new journey. That's why when we do Khatman, we don't finish at Qul A'udhu bi Rabbil Nas and that's it. No. We continue and we read Al-Fatiha, the first 5 ayats of Surah Al-Baqarah, because we are starting the new journey. If you look at it, no, Al-Mu'awwidatayn came in the beginning like that. So, okay. One more thing. قل أعوذ برب الفلق. Say, I seek refuge with the Lord of Al-Falaq. One attribute of Allah. من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر. So we seek refuge with Allah using one attribute only from 4 things. قل أعوذ برب الناس, قل أعوذ برب الناس, ملك إله. We seek refuge with Allah using 3 attributes from one thing, من شر الوسواس الخناس. And the rest is describing the waswas. And the waswas is told as mentioned. Why is it like that? What's the difference between them? Why in Al-Falaq we sought refuge with Allah with what attribute only? قل أعوذ برب الفلق from 4 things. And as we sought refuge with Allah with 3 attributes. Rabb, Malik, from 1 thing. You need to do what? To look at what we sought refuge from. The 4 things of Al-Falaq are what? Things that can damage your life. But the one thing that you sought refuge from in Surah Al-Nas can damage your akhirah, not your dunya. Waswas al-khannas, shaitan. But in Surah Al-Falaq, it was seeking refuge with Allah from the evil of creatures and from the sorceresses and from the very dark night, because you can do accidents. So
All of them are things that can destroy the life of this world. But in Surah An-Nas, you're seeking refuge from what can destroy your akhirah. So you're asking Allah with three attributes: Rabb al-Nas, Malik al-Nas, Ilah al-Nas. Okay? Move to Al-Fatiha. The same sequence. Alhamdulillah, Rabb al-Alamin, Rahman al-Rahim, Malik yawm al-Din, Malik al-Nas. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, إله الناس. See the beauty of the Quran and how you have to take your time. You don't rush when you read the Quran. Okay, so all of this is in this workshop. Qiyam is something that we do also in Ramadan. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من صام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه، ومن قام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه، ومن قام ليلة القدر إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. He said, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, he who fasts during Ramadan with faith and seeking his reward from God will have his past sins forgiven. He who prays during the night, man qama Ramadan, okay, in Ramadan with faith and seeking his reward from Allah will have his past sins forgiven. And he who passes Laylat al-Qadr, the night of decree, in prayer with faith and seeking his reward from God, he will have his past sins forgiven. Okay? And Lady Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل العشر, when the last 10 nights began, God's messenger شد مئزره, it means prepared himself for religious exercises, like he tightens his belt, which means he gets ready. Okay? And وأحيا ليلة, stayed awake at night. وأيقظ أهله, and wakened his family. But actually, وأحيا ليلة literally doesn't say he stayed awake at night. أحيا ليلة literally in Arabic means he gave life to his night. He revives his night, as if night can die or can live, and you can have your night, you can give life to your night on just or keep it dead. Wow, what a beautiful expression. So time can die and can live. You can make, so what gives life, the time to your time is what? Dhikrullah. Reciting the Quran with tadabbur, praying with khushu', doing adhkar and dua. Dhikrullah is what revives time, is what gives life to time. And time and space too. So houses as well can die or live. You can make your houses alive and vivid if these houses are full of dhikrullah. People themselves can be dead without dhikrullah, or alive. And that's what Allah said. In Surah Fatir, إنما تنذر الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب وأقاموا الصلاة ومن تزكى فإنما يتزكى لنفسه وإلى الله المصير وما يستوي الأعمى والبصير ولا الظلمات ولا النور ولا الظل ولا الحرور وما يستوي الأحياء ولا الأموات إن الله يسمع من يشاء وما أنت بمسمع من في القبور. Allah says, and no bearer of burden bears the burden of another. And even if a heavily laden one calls for help with its load, nothing of it will be carried, even if one called be a relative. You are only to warn those who fear their Lord, though unseen, and have established the prayer, and whoever purifies himself only purifies himself to his own benefit, and to Allah is the destiny. Not equal are the blind one and the one who can see, nor are the darknesses and the light, nor are the shade and the torrid heat, nor equal are the living and the dead. Here, the living and dead means the believer and the non-believer. What makes me say so? It's the ayah in Surah Al-An'am. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كمن مثله في الظلمات ليس بخارج منها كذلك زين للكافرين ما كانوا يعملون. The dead here is the kafir. Is he who was lifeless? He didn't have life. He was dead. Is he who was lifeless? Then we revived him and made for him a light by which he walks among mankind. So Allah revives people with the light of Iman, and then you walk with it and spread the Iman. You do da'wah among people. So you can give light to your night by praying, to your life by doing da'wah, to your house by praying in it and reciting the Quran in it. This is what Qiyam is. And you know what? Last thing I'll talk about now, I know that you started to, you're bored, huh? You're bored?
Very interesting.
Left? Okay. Etikaf. Seclusion in the mosque. See, in Surah Maryam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told her, فَإِمَّا تَرَيِنَّ مِنَ الْبَشَرِ أَحَدًا فَقُولِي إِنِّي نَظَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا. Of course, this is Jesus telling his mother. فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا. But if you see any human being, say, I have vowed a fast to the All-Merciful, so I will not speak to any human today. Of course, we understood this as they had fasting from speaking, but also it shows that fasting has to do with seclusion from people. I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm fasting. So seclusion, i'tikaf, staying away from, because actually one of the wrong things I see in the i'tikaf is that people use i'tikaf to socialize with the brothers. No, socialize after Ramadan. In Ramadan, Lady Aisha said that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to pray the morning prayer, and then he goes into his khiba, his tent. He doesn't talk to anyone. So i'tikaf, you do it. That's why the best i'tikaf is what you do in a mosque that you don't know people in it, so that you don't keep on talking and socializing. No, i'tikaf, خلاص فلن أكلم اليوم إنسان. I'm not gonna speak to any human being. I'm only gonna speak to Allah. I will only talk to Allah. I will only ask Allah. I will only complain to Allah. This is what i'tikaf should be. But going to the mosque, socializing there, this is i'tikaf al-jasad. This is the i'tikaf of your body, because you're in the mosque. You're not sleeping at home. But we want i'tikaf al-qalb. We want the i'tikaf of the heart. And the heart makes i'tikaf in mihrab al-ubudiyya. Servitude. You feel servitude to Allah. قطع العلائق بالخلائق. This is number one in the i'tikaf. You cut ties to all human beings. خلاص. You're only with Allah. This is the real i'tikaf. So try to spiritualize Ramadan this year. Okay? Spiritualize it with tadabbur al-Quran, with siyam properly. Delete YouTube from your the app, from your website, from your phone. Reciting the Quran with tadabbur, praying with khushu'. There is a lecture that we have on our YouTube channel called The Spirit of Prayer. It's actually one of the videos of the Tarbiyah Imaniyah workshop, which is called The Purification of the Heart. It is very good because the comment that we always get is that it has an immediate effect. If you watch this lecture and directly stand up to pray 2 rak'ahs and apply what you heard, it teaches you how to bring khushu' to your salah. Because some people say, yeah, I tried, but I don't know why I don't have khushu' in my salah. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen by coincidence. Khushu' is not something that happens by coincidence. You learn how to prepare khushu'. استحضار الخشوع. Khushu' is something that you learn how to prepare it. How? In this lecture. Watch it and directly stand up and pray to practice what you heard. You will enjoy Salah. Because the way we pray is not the way the Prophet prayed at all. And actually, I believe we don't pray. We just stand up, bow down, make sujood, and then we sit. But that's not prayer. Prayer is not like that. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, when it's time for adhan, he used to do "Arihna biha ya Bilal," which means go ahead, comfort us with it, Bilal. What does it mean? "Arihna biha Bilal." Means that he was waiting for it. How long for Isha? Oh my God! Still 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. "Arihna biha ya Bilal." Comfort us with it. Now he's waiting for it, but we are not comforted with Salah. We are comforted from Salah. How? Oh my God, there's only 10 minutes left for Isha. We didn't pray Maghrib. Quickly, run to the bathroom, do any wudu, come back, say Allahu Akbar, and while praying, we hear the adhan of Isha said, Alhamdulillah, we caught Isha, we caught Maghrib. We are comforted from Maghrib, not by Maghrib. You will be comforted by Salah when you fix your relationship with Allah like that. Because if you fix the way you pray, you fix your relationship with Allah. Salah comes from Salah, the relation. Okay. I think I can stop at this point and open the floor for questions if there's any.
We'll give everyone about 5-10 minutes. There's some tea to be served, and then inshallah.
Yeah, fine. Inshallah. Yeah. There's tea. There's tea for you.
Yeah. So Jazakallah khair, Doctor. MashaAllah, that was a very beneficial and relevant reminder given the time of the year we're in. And inshallah, we can all reflect on the points that Sheikh mentioned. There were numerous beneficial points there. Inshallah, we can look at the recordings again, look at the live stream again, and inshallah, make some notes and create an action plan on how we can capitalize on this blessed month, inshallah. Now, brothers, about 5 to 10 minutes to stretch your legs, have some tea, inshallah. And there's also some very beneficial books at the back. You can have a look and purchase. All of the proceeds will go towards the Inspired Foundation, which will again be reinvested into our youth programs and our da'wah initiatives, inshallah. So please take a look there as well and help yourself to some tea, which the brothers will give you now, inshallah. And then in the meantime, think of your questions as well. Any meaningful questions, inshallah, you have throughout the lecture. We will have about 20 minutes, inshallah, to reflect on some of the things that we've heard. Jazakallah khair.
Sorry, I also spent time beside that place.
عليكم. Here computer. Come close. Here computer means come here, please, in German. Okay. So we are opening the floor for questions. Is there any question?
Okay, message.
Yeah, just click on messages. Yes.
You talked about the importance of the level, and you also talked about like, how we have a lot of focus and emphasis on memorization, especially with the young women. So what do you think is a good balance of describing that? Because we know that very young people, they have a good capacity to memorize, they have very good memory. Sometimes they don't have the full knowledge that they can think about, for example, how do you strike that balance?
Speak frankly, huh? No offense. Okay. I was 2 months ago in Istanbul, and I met a sheikh there, famous sheikh, who was also working like me. Also, he works in the field of. I'm still drinking this. Of course, in the field of. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not trying atheists and stuff like that. So I asked him, did you realize that many or some of the cases that come to you that have atheistic issues uh, are memorizers? He said, most. I said, and that's exactly the phenomenon that I have. It's like 50% of the cases I have. Hmm. So what does that mean? Okay. I want you to imagine that I take you uh, twice a week in a room and bring a Chinese book to you. We will memorize this Chinese book. After me, meow. I'll say meow. No, meow, like that because it's called love. Okay. And then you tell me, but I don't understand. You don't have to understand, you will understand later. Now you are like a sponge. Memorize Chinese as much as you can. Are you going to like Chinese? So what we are doing is that to some of these kids, to many of them, we are doing a complex. And we're hurting them. And I proved that this is new. Did the Prophet do that? Okay, العبادلة الأربعة. One of them is who? Ibn Abbas. The hadith is in Al-Bukhari. مات رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنا أحفظ المحكم. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani explained he meant al-Mufassal, which means when Ibn Abbas was 10 years old, he was memorizing 4 juz. 7 years old, he finished. Huh? This is what we do. Ibn Abdullah ibn Umar, uh, at the age of like 12, he has 16 surahs. Of course, all of them memorized, but later. But when children are young like that, we want them to love the Quran. What do children love? Stories and games. Okay. Turn the Quran into a book of stories and games. How? I'll tell you about an experience that I did myself in America when I was 25 years ago. I used to teach, I taught Quran in Islamic schools. So I have set that the goal is to make them love the Quran. Okay, fine. Then open the Quran properly. What properly? Means like the Arabic way. Allah said, Inna anzala Quran Arabiyan, which means open it from the right side. And we tell Allah, no, it's English. And we open it from the right because last Juz is 30 this. Because we only focus on memorization. And it's a Juz that doesn't have stories. But kids can memorize it easily, but it doesn't have stories. And you know what? Yeah, there's a story there of the people, the believers who died burning and the king, nothing happened to him. What do you think how can you explain this to 5 or 6 or 7 years old? But the cartoonish stories are inside, but we hide them from the kids. The man who threw the cane, and the cane turned into a serpent, and it ate the ropes and the canes. The child doesn't see the story except when he becomes 15 or 16, because he keeps struggling with الجزء 30 and الجزء 29 in the beginning of his life. And first impressions love. Can you imagine this? The first impression is that the book is boring. That's what we do to them. Why? Because we insist on this way, which neither Allah nor the Prophet told us about, or did it. No, what I did is every single day we take a new story. We start from the beginning. And I choose stories. Every day a new story. And we learn tilawah together. And when we learn tilawah, yalla, we play. Of course, anyone who teaches Quran will tell you that every child is benefiting only for 5 minutes during the whole hour. Why? Because when the sheikh is revising with him, but the rest of the children are not focusing with them. They're not, this one is playing, this one is, pinching this one, right? But in my lesson, everyone benefits for a whole hour. Why? Because they are engaged all the time. How? Yalla. We learn one حكم. الميم والنون المشددتين. When you see a meme or a noon with an inverted comb like that, you pronounce them this way. Okay? Yalla, let's start playing. We play. 7 years old. First one reads, and I will not correct him. I want to see who of you will discover his mistakes. So every kid is opening the like this. As soon as he finishes, this means 2 mistakes. This means he found 1 mistake. This means he found 4 mistakes. And we listen to all of them. And then, yes, he did this mistake. No, he didn't do this mistake. You are the one mistake. And so, first of all, tarbiyah issue. You are teaching the kids to accept advice and to accept criticism. Yeah. And what else? Next one, reads, and the rest will correct. Not correct, but they will say after he finishes, I found these mistakes, and we listen to them. There's another game, which is there's another game, which is I look at the ayah and I see how many ahkam that I taught are in this ayah, which means I can test them with what? So I announce, I will tell them, I will read the ayah, number so and so, and I will make 4 mistakes. I want to see who you will discover the mistakes. I read the ayah, and the one who does like this, 4 is he got the 4. 3, he got the 3, and so on. And we listen to them. They're playing, they're engaged. You know what? An African American brother and his wife came to the school in the beginning when I started, to fight with me. What is he doing to our kids? Why are my kids learning Al-Baqarah? Why is he doing this to them? And the headmaster told him, well, I'll tell you the truth. I don't know what he's doing. But I trust Brother Fadl, so let's give him a chance. He said, fine. After 2 months, him and his wife came with a present bag, bringing me a gift. Why? They say, we want to thank you. Usually when our children are in their room, they're too loud. And it's like we hear things are smashed and fighting and they're very violent. Now, they go to the room. We don't hear them. So we were worried. We opened the door and we found that all the toys are in the box and each one is having a mushaf in his hand and they are playing Quran with each other. This one reads and this one corrects him. That's exactly what I wanted. That the kids find consolation in the Quran, comfort in the Quran. It's more interesting than Buzz Lightyear or whatever they are playing with. That's exactly what I wanted. Why? Because I focused on, I had set a goal, so within 3 or 4 months, these kids are American kids. They don't know Arabic, telling you. But they just can read the letters like we do with our children. Okay? Within 3 or 4 months, any one of them can go to the board and draw for you and the tree of أحكام التلاوة. And explain to you and give you examples and explain the whole أحكام for you. And all of them. After 4 months, I said, now it's time to memorize. Let's memorize. What do you think we will memorize? They said, okay, you take us to Juz 13. I said, no. I have set a goal. And the goal is to show them that the Quran is a book that is easy to memorize. I said, we will memorize the second longest surah in the Quran. And they said, no, cancel. You will be able to do that and you will see. What is the second longest surah? No. Ash-Shu'ara. In terms of the number of ayat, 228, that's the second longest surah after Al-Baqarah. So when they check, yes, it's true, it is the second longest surah, but its ayat are very short, quick, like the ayat of Juz 13. And there are 5 stories. If you just replace the name of the Prophet and the name of his people, you memorize 4 ayat. Easy. So within 2 months, they found that they memorized the second longest surah. Oh my God. So my goal was to give them self-confidence that this book is easy to memorize. So always when you do something, set a goal, a clear goal. And everything you do or say should get you to this goal. Don't do like many Muslims, they just do whatever, start working or start talking, not knowing what they really want. No, set a goal and see how to reach it and put a plan. Okay, so that's what I suggest to the children. Make them love the Quran. I'll tell you something. One of them reached out to me 6 months ago on the messenger. He found me on Messenger. I left the States a long time ago. He said, MashaAllah, Ghaid, how are you? What have you been doing? And he said, I became a doctor now, and I graduated from Harvard University. I'm a doctor. I said, MashaAllah, I'm very proud of you. Tell me what happened to you in your life. I left him when he was 9. Or maybe 10. He said, oh my God, Ammo, you can't imagine. Well, many things happened. And actually, when I was in Harvard, because of the peer pressure, I was about to lose my faith. But your words explaining the Quran were ringing in my head, and that's what saved me from this. So the issue is establish the love of Allah, the love of the Quran. Because love of the Quran is love of Allah. We don't have a picture for Allah. But yeah, Christians have a picture for God. They have a statue for God. So whenever they want to come close to God, they bring his statue. They bring the picture. They keep looking to it, and we make fun of that. But we don't have a statue for God or a picture. We only have word. If you love Allah, you will find yourself loving His word. You don't accept His word. You love His word, then you love Allah. And don't claim that you are close to Allah if you are far from His word. You should not stay away from the Quran for more than 24 hours. When you stop a Christian in the street and ask him about Christianity, he will tell you that God, well, we were born with the original sin. And because no one can pay the price for that, God Himself became a human being and paid the price for us to redeem us. We believe exactly the opposite. We believe exactly the opposite. We believe that we were born with an original goodness, not original sin. We were born with hearts that are ready to submit by nature. But there's only one problem with our hearts. They are like mobile batteries. They die if they are not charged every single day. And the charger is dhikrullah. Tadabbur al-Quran for about an hour every day, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night. Salah with khushu' and the remembrance of Allah, the dhikrullah, but with understanding. If I spill this tea on the brother, what do I tell him? Sorry, man. How about telling him sorry 100 times like that? You think he felt good now? It's offensive. It's offensive. Why do you do that with Allah then? Lady Rabbah said, إن استغفارنا يحتاج إلى استغفار. We need to do istighfar from the way we do istighfar. What did the Prophet teach us? How to do istighfar? He said, Sayyid al-istighfar is what? اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي. He didn't do istighfar yet. And then فاغفر لي. Someone will say, all of this introduction to say فاغفر لي again, I could have said it 25 times. Why? Because people are focusing on the quantity, not on the quality of the ibadah. We just focus on the quantity. Say astaghfirullah 1,000 times. Say it 5,000 times. Come on. Say it from your heart. That's what the Prophet is telling you. Allahumma anta rabbi. Oh Allah, you are my Lord. Tawheed al-rububiyyah. Khalaqtani. That's the number one relationship between you and Allah. He's your creator. You created me. وَأَنَا عَبْدُكَ. Servitude, that is your relationship with Him. You're a servant, slave servant. وَأَنَا عَبْدُكَ. توحيد العبودية. وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. I'm sticking to my pledge to you as much as I can. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. I seek refuge with you from the evil I have committed, which means all your mistakes. Be self-critique. أبوء لك بنعمتك علي. And I acknowledge your ni'mah on me, your grace on me. وأبوء بذنبي. And I acknowledge my sins. After that, so forgive me. So you are, so instead of telling him, oh my God, sorry, I'm really this. Just once, but with emotions. So you tell me, don't worry, it's okay. Because we need to focus on the quality of our ibadah. These things that we hear that someone stayed for 30 years praying Fajr with the same wudu of Isha. This never happened in the generation of the Prophet ﷺ. Not one of the Sahaba did that. They were moderate. Only after them came people who started to focus on the quantity. But the Sahaba, quality ibadah. All of them slept and woke up to pray. None of them, stayed fasted for all his life. There's nothing like that. Be moderate. Since we were speaking about the USA, I attended Old America and New America because I arrived to America less than a year before 9/11, about 9 months before 9/11. And then I attended 9/11. So I've seen Old America and New America. And I'm an electronics engineer. And my paradigm shift happened because of 9/11. Not because, like everyone, it affected us. No, I am a survivor of 9/11 myself. At that time, I was running an organization, and I used to attend every year on the 10th, 11th, and 12th of September a conference in the United Nations in Manhattan, New York. So I used to travel to New York. I used to live in Washington, D.C. Travel to New York and stay there for 3 or 4 nights to attend this conference. So that day, I had 2 other friends with me who came from overseas to attend the conference. We finished breakfast at 8. And the first speaker in the agenda of the conference that we wanted to attend was at 11. So we had a window of 3 hours free time. So they wanted to see around. They are tourists. They're not like me. I live there, but they're not. They said, why don't we see around in 3 hours? So what do you want to do? One of them said, well, I heard that there is a panoramic floor in the World Trade Center where we can go and buy a ticket and go upstairs if the weather is good. We can take pictures up to Staten Island and the Statue of Liberty. So let's go. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, on that day, in Broadway area, which is in the middle between the United Nations and World Trade Center, we were stopping a taxi going to the World Trade Center at 8. Had the taxi stop for us from the first minute, we could have made it by 8:25, 8:30. Bought a ticket and went upstairs for the flight. But guess what happened? No taxi stop for us for more than 20 minutes. And you should see how we were frustrated and disappointed because it's like, we only have 3 hours and we're losing time. And God was saving our lives. So we missed both flights. At that moment, I understood the ayah. عسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم، عسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم، والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. This ending, the tail of the ayah, always like puzzled me. How come Allah says, أنتم لا تعلمون? No, I'm sorry, I know things. And every one of us knows things, but no, wait. Sometimes you hate things that are good for you. You hate to wait for 20 minutes stopping in a taxi, huh? But it's good for you, for your children, who could have been orphaned 25 years ago. And sometimes you love things that are bad for you. You love to when you stop a taxi stops immediately in the first minute, huh? That's not good for you. And Allah knows and you know not. So Allah never said you know not, except when He said Allah knows, because no matter how knowledgeable you can be, it's zero compared to the knowledge of Allah. So just put your trust in Allah. Since that day, I am never angry and I'm never happy. I just accept. Allah. I just contented. I feel contentment with anything that happens. Plus, a year after that, I was denied boarding. Of course, this event made me change my career. And I'm only doing what I'm doing now since then. But many things happened. And that time was very challenging for Muslims there. Very challenging, more than now. At the time of George Bush, McCarthyism. So I was actually rejected from boarding the plane. They declined boarding me on a plane. And it's just because when it was time to pray, I used to stood up and pray. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. So there was not like 4 or 5 people only. And I prayed in a corner. And then when the cafes opened, I went to buy a coffee. And I left my khutbah. I had a speech to say or a khutbah. I left it on my seat and I came back. I didn't find it. So I started to ask people, and people are not responding to me. Did you see who picked up my papers? And no one is answering me. And then when, after an hour, when they started boarding the plane, I saw my papers in the hand of one of the flight attendants. I said, sorry, these are my notes. He said, these are yours? I said, yes. He said, then wait a minute here, please. And then he went inside, and the captain of the plane came out. He pretended to be doing something on the computer and he's looking at me. And then I saw the police coming, and because they have to inform you that you're not boarding the plane, but in the presence of the police, so that you don't, you don't react violently or something. So they told me the captain is not happy with you on board. So I have to make the captain happy. I said, he's not happy with you on board, so you're not boarding the plane. I said, fine, but if I don't give this speech in Kansas City, 12:30 tonight, today, your company will pay other money. Within a minute, they bought me a ticket on another airlines. SubhanAllah, I'm dangerous for Delta Airlines, but not for American Airlines. Anyway, after I came back, human rights organizations, there's an imam who was banned from boarding the plane and so on. So they came and they visited me and they said, well, this shouldn't pass and we're gonna sue them. And I said, fine. So they took me to a lawyer who is specialized in discrimination cases and stuff. And I told them, I want to tell you something. I have an MP3 that I take with me to record my khutbahs. There was no YouTube at that time, nothing like that. Just MP3s and stuff like that. And I don't know what happened, but it started recording 45 minutes before that. It even recorded me buying the coffee and going back and asking people. So if you want to know what happened, take it and listen. And I know that you can't use this as evidence on anything because to record for someone, you need a permit to do that. He said, no, you don't need a permit only here in Virginia. That's why they brought Clinton to be tried here. If both parties don't know that someone is recording, then it can be taken as evidence. But even if it's mine, he said, yes, but you told me that you didn't know that it's recording. I said, well, I didn't know. Okay. Next day, he told me, you lied to me. I said, why? He said, you said you didn't know, but no judge will believe that. You're not angry at all? How come you are so cold when they are telling you that you're not boarding the plane? I said, okay, let me explain to you what happened to me last year. I don't get excited, and I don't get angry. How many times we were excited and happy with things that we discovered lately that, oh, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. I was an idiot when I was happy. Like, it happens. And how many times we were sad and angry with things and then we discovered that, oh, that was one of the best things happened to me. If we don't really know what's really good and really bad, why are we still exaggerating our feelings? Why don't we just accept? Okay. So these are the things that I wanted to tell you today, and actually on my YouTube channel, all of these stories are there, by the way. Many of them are in English, by the way. So just check it. Okay. And we have 3 documentaries that we made about Islam that you will like, inshallah. There's it's called Documentaries or The Fog is Lifting, the playlist. It has the 3 documentaries. The first one is called Islam in Brief, which is a very good documentary, but it was made a long time ago with a handheld camera. But believe me, there's a lot of barakah in it. Maybe 8,000 people so far. Those are the people whom we receive news about them becoming Muslim. And you see, so whether this documentary, the first time he appeared with me. The second one is about jihad, called Jihad on Terrorism. And we filmed with 10 people. 5 of them are non-Muslims, 2 of them are Jews. And guess what? That was 15 or 16 years ago. One of them, last year, became what? The lawyer of South Africa in the ICT, in their case against Israel. Yeah, Philippe Sands. And the third one is about women. It's called Islam and Women. Not Women in Islam. It's called Islam and Women. And it's a very interesting one, by the way. So I wish that you watch these videos, send them to your friends. Okay? Jazakumullah khair.
I think there's no more questions then, yeah? This is haven't asked anything, so inshallah.
Yeah, I think already.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and may He accept every step you've taken to come here with us. And inshallah, we can benefit from your presence in the future. And we've got a lot of young brothers who are, alhamdulillah, very eager to learn. And inshallah, we can keep in touch. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, brothers. and we'll call it a night there, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and accept it from all of you. And inshallah, see you in the next event. Special appreciations and thanks to the Masjid Committee as well for allowing us to use the venue, to utilize the venue usually on a monthly basis. And this is a great ni'mah that we have. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to actually utilize this and to do khidmah to our community and to our brothers and sisters here. And also to the organizing committee, Brother Zahid Bashir, and also the rest of the brothers who have been working hard to make this event happen, and like this, many other events as well. We have got something coming up in mid Ramadan, so keep tuned, inshallah. There will be a Ramadan special event where all of you are invited. But keep an eye out for our social groups, and inshallah sign up when the